A water bottle just broke the internet. Not a sneaker drop, not a limited edition jersey, not some exclusive collaboration with a luxury brand. A water bottle. Gatorade's website didn't just slow down, it completely crashed. The virtual queue looked like people were trying to buy concert tickets for a sold-out stadium tour. And here's the thing that makes this absolutely wild. Only 2,200 of these bottles existed. 2,200, that's it. Gone in seconds. The website of one of the biggest sports drink companies on the planet couldn't handle the traffic. Think about that for a second. This wasn't some small startup that didn't anticipate demand. This was Gatorade, a company worth billions, a brand that has worked with the greatest athletes in history, and their entire digital infrastructure buckled under the weight of people trying to buy a single product with one name attached to it, Caitlin Clark. What you're about to hear isn't just about a water bottle or a viral moment. This is about something much bigger, something that's reshaping women's sports in ways nobody predicted, something that has champions questioning their place in the spotlight, and something that reveals an uncomfortable truth about how the sports business actually works. Let's be completely clear about what happened here. This wasn't a soft launch. This wasn't a quiet product release that gained momentum over time. The moment that water bottle went live, chaos erupted. Thousands of people flooded the Gatorade website simultaneously. The servers couldn't cope. Error messages popped up everywhere. Fans refreshed their browsers over and over again, desperate to secure one of those 2,200 units before they vanished forever. And vanish they did. Within moments, every single bottle was gone. People who managed to get through felt like they'd won the lottery. People who didn't were left staring at sold-out notifications. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. Wondering what just happened? Now here's why this matters beyond the obvious hype. When a product sells out instantly, that's one thing. When a product crashes a major corporate website, that's something entirely different. That's proof. Not speculation, not projections, not hopeful marketing predictions. Actual measurable proof that consumer demand has reached a level most athletes never touch. Gatorade has worked with legends: Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, Tiger Woods. Their website has handled countless product launches over the decades. But this one brought the whole thing down. The significance goes deeper than bragging rights. Brands track everything, every click, every purchase attempt, every second someone spends in a virtual queue. When they analyze what happened during this launch, they're not just seeing popularity. They're seeing conversion potential at a scale that changes entire marketing strategies. This wasn't basketball fans supporting their favorite player. This was casual consumers treating a water bottle like a collectible sneaker. That distinction matters more than anything else in this story. And what happened next only made the picture clearer. Most athlete endorsement deals follow a predictable pattern. The brand pays. The athlete appears in commercials. Maybe they hold the product, say a slogan, smile at the camera. Then everyone moves on until the next ad cycle. That's how the game has worked for decades. This Gatorade partnership operates on a completely different level. Caitlin Clark didn't just sign a deal to appear in advertisements. She got a signature flavor, Brainberry. Not a limited edition release designed to create temporary buzz. A permanent addition to Gatorade's product lineup. That distinction changes everything about how we should interpret this partnership. Limited runs are marketing experiments. They test demand without committing serious resources. If the product flops, the brand quietly moves on and nobody remembers it existed. Permanent signature flavors represent something else entirely. They require shelf space in stores across the country. They demand ongoing production capacity. They need consistent marketing support year after year. No company makes that kind of commitment unless they believe the athlete can drive sustained purchasing behavior over a long period. Reports suggest this deal sits around $50 million. But the structure matters more than the number. The structure tells us what Gatorade actually believes. They're not betting on a moment. They're betting on a market. They're saying this athlete will move product not just today, not just this season, but for years to come. When was the last time a women's basketball player received this level of commercial infrastructure? The honest answer is never. Not at this scale. Not with this speed. And the brands lining up behind this bet weren't finished yet. The Gatorade deal was just one piece of a much larger puzzle coming together. Gatorade didn't act alone. Stack the endorsement portfolio and the picture becomes almost surreal. Nike, State Farm, Wilson, Gatorade. These aren't niche brands chasing viral moments. These are legacy corporations that move carefully, protect their reputations obsessively, and commit serious money only when they see generational potential. Any single one of these deals would define most athletes' off-court careers. Landing all four in roughly the same window creates a commercial concentration that women's basketball has simply never witnessed. This isn't gradual brand building. This is an avalanche. Nike is developing a signature shoe before she's even completed a full professional season. State Farm reportedly made history with their own commitment. Wilson treats her like a flagship partner. Gatorade gave her permanent shelf space. Each deal signals the same underlying belief. This athlete moves markets. Then Forbes dropped their ranking. Most powerful female athlete on the planet. Not most talented, not most decorated, most powerful. That language matters because Forbes doesn't operate like sports media. They translate attention into leverage, and leverage into rankings the business world takes seriously. Here's the detail that puts everything in perspective. Among active athletes in that ranking, she stood at the top. The only names above her were executives, people who run leagues and networks, not players. Meanwhile, reports indicate her off-court earnings already exceed what most players make in salary. She's on a rookie contract. The commercial machine around her has grown so large that playing money almost becomes a footnote. 2 years ago, almost nobody predicted this ceiling. Not at this speed. Brands watched, numbers confirmed, money followed. But not everyone celebrated what was happening. A'ja Wilson isn't some random voice in this conversation. She's a champion, an MVP, a finals MVP, one of the most dominant players her era has produced. Her resume demands respect because she earned every single piece of hardware through undeniable performance. So when someone with those credentials reacts publicly to another player's commercial rise, people listen differently. It's not just commentary. It's a window into tension that's been building since the attention started shifting. Wilson's frustration centers on a recognition argument that sounds reasonable on the surface. The logic goes like this. The league's most accomplished players should receive the biggest mainstream attention and the most lucrative opportunities. Merit should dictate market position. Championships should translate directly into commercial dominance. In a world where endorsements perfectly matched on-court achievement, that framework would make sense. Wilson would be at the front of every line. Her signature shoe line with Nike exists because her excellence is undeniable. But here's where the argument collides with reality. Sports business has never operated on fairness. Commercial value flows toward reach, not righteousness. It follows audience size, cultural presence, and the ability to attract people who weren't already watching. Wilson's public comments about the commercial gap haven't been isolated moments. They formed a pattern. Enough references, enough timing, enough social media interactions that the overall impression starts to solidify into something specific. And that's where things get complicated. Not because Wilson is wrong to want recognition. She deserves everything her career has earned. But because the market she's arguing with doesn't negotiate. It doesn't respond to frustration. It responds to conversion. And the data keeps pointing in one direction, while the complaints keep coming. Companies don't guess about athlete partnerships. They track everything. Sentiment analysis, engagement patterns, purchase behavior, how an athlete's name appears in conversation when the spotlight isn't flattering. Marketing departments have entire teams dedicated to understanding exactly what they're buying before they write the check. When those teams evaluate potential partners, they're asking one fundamental question. Does this person expand our customer base or just reinforce our existing one? That's it. That's the whole game. An athlete can be beloved by hardcore fans and still fail that test. An athlete can have fewer championships and pass it easily. The criteria isn't fairness. The criteria is reach beyond the core audience. Caitlin Clark keeps passing that test in ways the tracking teams rarely see. The website crash wasn't a basketball moment. It was a consumer behavior moment. People who couldn't name 5 WNBA teams tried to buy that water bottle. People who have never watched a Fever game wanted the product. That's the metric. That's what $50 million signature flavor deals are built on. Not highlights, not stats. Conversion from people who weren't already in the building. Meanwhile, brands also monitor something else: conflict patterns. When an athlete repeatedly positions herself in public tension with the most commercially powerful figure in her sport, marketing departments notice, not because they're picking sides, because they're managing risk. Sponsors want uplift, aspiration, broad appeal. They want their product associated with positive momentum, not ongoing friction. When the pattern becomes the headline, some opportunities quietly disappear. Wilson's basketball legacy is completely secure. Nobody can take those championships away. But the off-court ceiling? That's a different calculation. And the way this plays out in public keeps making that calculation harder. Here's the uncomfortable truth that sits underneath everything else. The market doesn't care about your resume. It doesn't care about your ring count. It doesn't factor in years of dominance or defensive excellence or clutch performances in championship moments. The market cares about one thing: who moves the needle for people who weren't paying attention before. That question explains the entire commercial gap between Clark and Wilson. It's not that Wilson lacks excellence. She's elite by every basketball measure that exists. It's that Clark pulls audiences from outside the sport and converts them into measurable behavior. Different skill, different currency, different outcome. Every time Wilson expresses public frustration about this dynamic, something counterintuitive happens. The contrast sharpens. The gap becomes more visible. The attention swings harder toward the person generating the biggest reactions. Public friction doesn't weaken Clark's commercial position. It reinforces it. It reminds everyone which name drives the conversation. It demonstrates market gravity in real time. The brands see this clearly. A website crashed. A Forbes ranking landed. A shoe release generates anticipation before anyone can even purchase it. These aren't opinions. They're receipts with timestamps attached. Meanwhile, complaints don't reverse product launches. Frustration doesn't undo rankings. Pointing at championships doesn't change consumer purchasing patterns. The data doesn't have feelings, and the companies signing checks don't either. Wilson can be the better basketball player and still lose the off-court race. Those two statements aren't contradictions. They're descriptions of how professional sports has always functioned. The player who expands the audience gets rewarded differently than the player who perfects the craft. That's the game. It's always been the game. And right now, one player understands it better than everyone else. So, where does this actually leave us? Two athletes, two completely different currencies, two versions of success that the public keeps trying to compare, even though they operate on separate tracks. Wilson has championships, MVP trophies, Finals MVP recognition, a signature shoe line that exists because Nike believes in her dominance. Nobody can question what she's accomplished inside the arena. That legacy is permanent. Clark has something else: commercial gravity that pulls casual consumers into a sport they never watched before. Brands treating her like an acquisition target rather than a standard endorsement partner. Numbers that show off-court earnings surpassing playing salary while she's still on her rookie deal. The conflict comes from pretending these currencies should match. They never have in any sport. Championship, merit, and market reach are related but not equivalent. Some players dominate both. Most don't. The pattern playing out in public makes the gap impossible to ignore. Every frustrated comment, every pointed reference, every moment of visible tension between the accomplished champion and the commercial phenomenon. It all gets tracked, analyzed, factored into decisions happening in conference rooms far away from basketball courts. What happens next will define how the WNBA navigates its own growth. The league has a player who expands the entire pie, brings new viewers, fills arenas that were half empty, generates mainstream attention that spills over onto everyone else. The question is whether that reality gets embraced or resented, whether other stars see the rising tide or just see someone else getting the spotlight, whether the infrastructure being built around one player lifts the whole league or creates divisions that take years to heal. The market already voted. The brands already committed. Now everyone else has to decide how they respond. Zoom out far enough, and this stops being a story about two players. It becomes a story about an industry at a turning point. Women's sports has waited decades for this kind of commercial moment. The investment, the attention, the mainstream acceptance that turns niche interest into genuine cultural relevance. Now that moment is arriving, and it's concentrated around one person in a way nobody quite expected. That concentration creates opportunities and complications simultaneously. The opportunity is obvious. When arenas sell out, everyone benefits. When ratings jump, TV deals improve. When sponsors see conversion proof, they explore other players too. The whole ecosystem gets lifted by demonstrated market potential. The complication is also obvious. What happens when one player's commercial pull dramatically exceeds the entire rest of the league? What happens when the gap becomes so visible that it generates public tension between stars? What happens when the media covers the conflict more than the games? These questions don't have easy answers. The WNBA is navigating unprecedented territory with limited precedent to guide decisions. The player driving the most economic growth is also the player creating the most internal friction, even if she's not the one starting the arguments. The brands watching this play out will factor everything into their calculations: the potential, the risk, the trajectory, the narrative environment. They'll make decisions based on data, not loyalty. For fans who just want to watch great basketball, this might feel exhausting. The business conversation overwhelming the sport itself. But that's always how professional leagues evolve. The money shapes the game whether anyone likes it or not. What comes next depends on choices being made right now. By players, by executives, by media, by fans deciding what they celebrate and what they criticize. The market already spoke. Now we see who's listening. So here's what we're left with. A water bottle that crashed a website. A rookie contract player with off-court earnings that dwarf most veterans' total income. A champion with every credential questioning why the spotlight keeps moving. And a league trying to figure out whether this moment builds the future or fractures the present. The uncomfortable truth is that both things can be true simultaneously. Aja Wilson can be the most dominant player in the WNBA and still not command the same commercial power as Caitlin Clark. Merit and market value have never been the same currency. They never will be. What matters now is how everyone responds. Whether the players who built this league embrace the new audience or resent how it arrived. Whether brands see this as proof that women's basketball can sustain major investment or just a flash around one name. Whether the tension playing out in public strengthens the sport's infrastructure or becomes the story that overshadows everything else. The receipts are clear. The market voted. The brands committed. The question isn't whether Clark's commercial dominance is real. The question is what the WNBA does with the moment she created, and whether everyone else decides to build on it or against it. Stay locked in with my channel, Simply Explained, your home for the truth behind the WNBA headlines.